Welcome back, guys, or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous, and that's the Colorado ZR2 Bison. These are incredibly difficult to find. This new third generation of Colorado came out just 2 years ago now in 2023, and they're hard to find. There's been a bunch of production issues, shortages. They really haven't sold very many. Heck, for 2023 alone, because that's the finalized year of this new generation, they only sold about 70,000 of these in the United States. And while I'm currently filming my full review of this is just going to be an impromptu video, mostly the driving impressions, an extended version of that for you guys, because if you're going to shell out over $60,000 for a ZR2 Bison edition, you want to know as much information as you guys can have. And because this is a beautiful truck, seriously in radiant red, it looks so good with those 35-inch Wrangler MT tires, the AV bumper steel. They really look factory spec, and with those wide fenders, there's just a lot of personality. There's a lot of characteristics to this truck. So let me hop inside and we're gonna go for a drive. I'll try to keep this video no longer than maybe 8 to 10 minutes. If you haven't already seen my full review of this, definitely check it out because there's more information in that one. But this, I just wanted to drive it. I wanted to be a little bit selfish and I wasn't ready to give it back because this is a seriously cool truck. And I think I've only seen 2 regular ZR2s in the wild, and this is the first one I've seen at the dealership, especially for being the Bison edition. And if you guys like what you see, please consider liking this video. Comment your thoughts and opinions below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And with that said, let's get right into it and take this thing on the road. Initially, just sitting in here, it's a really nice place to be. Visibility is not as good as I was expecting, but it's good enough for a mid-sized truck. When you're 6.5 feet high off the ground, your visibility, especially the side mirror, it's not going to give you fantastic visibility. There's a lot that you're missing when you drive a big truck. You can see further down the road, but you can't actually see better, and you miss a lot of what's in front of you. You probably can't even see anything on the ground within the first 15 feet of this truck. But overall, these synthetic seats, they're comfortable. My backpack's having a good time. Let's put it into drive, keeping it just in regular mode. We're going to keep it in 2-wheel drive high, not going into 4-wheel drive off-road, because I know some of you guys probably want to watch off-road tests of this, and those do exist. But let's be real, let's be honest. Are 99% of you guys actually going to buy a $65,000 truck and taking it off-road? Especially when a mid-sized truck is not really the best platform for that. Sure, it has a pretty impressive approach angle, but the departure angle, not that good at about 26 degrees, even on the Bison edition. A Jeep Wrangler, while not being a very good on-road vehicle, it's going to kill this thing off-road more than likely with the shorter wheelbase and better angles. But driving it, you know, does that really matter? If you're not taking this off-road, if you're not taking it to the breaking point of extremes, it's smooth. With 310 horse from the Turbo Max 2.7 liter 4-cylinder engine and 430 pound-feet of torque down low, it actually feels quick. It feels faster than this thing actually is. I've done a 0 to 60 comparison test of a bunch of Canyons and Colorados from the current gen and the last gen. The newer ones, they are faster, but when you have 35-inch tires with the wheel that probably weigh well over 100 pounds per corner, you lose a lot of power, specifically torque. So that 430 torque, while still being pretty punchy at 3,000 RPM, right about here is where it hits, and that's only, half throttle maybe. You lose so much torque to turn those big wheels. Then the actual 0 to 60 test I did of this in 2-wheel drive in regular without turning traction off, because I didn't want to risk torquing the drive shaft and snapping that where the tires probably can't spin at only 430 peak torque and not being able to rev it that high with the torque converter. It did a 9.2 0 to 60 true time. Sure, we are over a mile above sea level. For reference, the big V8 muscle cars only do a low 5 at this elevation and this temperature, but still not fast on paper, but fun. And check this out, try to listen to the turbo noise. Okay, sorry guys, riding out that gear, it really didn't show a lot. You can hear it way more in first gear, but an aftermarket cold air intake, if you can have it tuned appropriately, that would really open up. The Turbo Max engines, they spool, they sound good. This, just driving it around, is really fun, and I love that the Bison edition has a full-size spare tire, but at the cost of almost a $12,000 upgrade for the Bison package, for those metal bumpers, the skid plates, the tire, and a few other little things. And you also lose even more visibility. So for being such a big truck, again, you can't see out of it super well. It does have the power moonroof, but because it's 90 degrees out right now and we're gonna climb into the triple digits soon, I'm just leaving that closed for now. But if you drive this moderately on the road, 35-inch tires, dual-matic suspension, even though it has leaf springs and it has a solid axle in the back, with a front and rear locker. Nice job, GM, on offering that. It's very smooth on the street, especially under 50 miles an hour. Until you have to take a corner, this thing feels nice. The brakes, there's just a tiny bit of nosedive, but it's not too bad. We do have to wait a little bit. There's obviously not great visibility with that, but there are some vehicles coming. So just when you're sitting in here, it idles below 1,000 RPM, and it's quiet. There's not a ton of wind out today. The trees aren't dancing like crazy, so it's hard to tell you guys how the decibels would be on a windy day, but right now, just driving this thing as we are today, it's pretty quiet. There's not really much of road and tire noise for having 35s. These MTs, although I don't think a new vehicle should come from the factory with MTs, all terrains, absolutely. Maybe RTs, but certainly not MTs. Seriously, no one's taking this through mud terrain right off the showroom floor. They're gonna be driving on the streets. For instance, I've even seen a basically brand new TRD Pro 4Runner that was sold back to a dealership, and the owner had swapped out the all-terrain tires for highway terrain tires, which is pathetic. You don't buy a vehicle like this to, then worry about every little MPG when you should have bought something more economical to begin with. But I do think the other extreme of that is MTs. That is kind of extreme. I think ATs are reasonable. Do not put an all-season tire on this. Do not put a highway terrain tire on this. But an MT is just too aggressive, and they don't do fantastic in the snow. I used to have MTs on my supercharged lifted FJ Cruiser, and that thing sucked. To get it into the driveway on icy days, I actually had to put it in 4 high to launch myself with enough momentum up into the driveway and have the steering control, which is sad. But we're gonna do a little bit of an on-highway acceleration right here. We're gonna see what this does. Again, the brakes, they feel linear overall. It's a very comfortable position. There's a truck coming, just a regular pickup. A little bit of wheel spin actually around the corner, but not exceptionally fast. You can see we're about 9.2 second true time came in, and that was a GPS run. If you want to watch it specifically, please watch that video. But these wheels, I'm sure they're eating up 100 pounds of torque over what a 30.5-inch tire or a 31 would be like on the factory Colorados. And even the regular ZR2, that has about 10.5 inches of ground clearance, and that has only a 33-inch tire. So sure, you gain another 1.5 inches of ground clearance with 35s, but you do lose out on MPG, on acceleration. For instance, this is only rated for about 16 city, about 16 highway, so with a 21.4 gallon tank, you're only gonna get about 342 miles, which is convenient and easy to remember because 342 is also the final drive ratio on this thing. So it's not even like super aggressive like a 373 or a 410 would be, or a 390. Sure, it's better than a 323 like some Silverados and some other vehicles have, but it's not exceptionally aggressive. But just driving this, check out how little these tiny little sedans and hatchbacks look. They really don't look like much from up here. What about this? It looks like it's a Honda SUV, CUV. Yeah, it looked pretty small too. At just under 18 feet long and about 6.5 feet tall and wide, or actually 7 feet tall with the antenna. This really has a lot of height. The things I don't like about it, which are overall pretty understandable, is because you have such a good off-road suspension that you lose out a lot of the payload capacity. So this one specifically only has a payload of 1,024 pounds, while this truck weighs around 53 or 5,400 pounds before passengers and stuff. So if you have 5 200-pound passengers between the front and the back seat of your ZR2 Bison Colorado, you are maxed out. And you can't tow, and you can't carry anything in the bed. You are maxed out legally. So keep that in mind, that when you do go to a bigger tire, usually the percent of the larger tire, you should deduct that same percentage from your factory suspension payload. Oop. Service tire monitor system. That's an interesting alarm. I've never had one of those come on before when I was test driving something. But anyways, those tires, they do a good job. And this is kind of cool. You can go into the options. I think it's on the other screen. And you can have it beep at you, honk the horn when you lower your tire pressure. So this one doesn't have an onboard air compressor, which those aren't that expensive. Just find a good quality aftermarket one to keep in, your storage space in the back seats or something. But you can have it honk at you when you do want to go off-roading, when you do want to use the beadlock capable wheels and, let some air out to have some better surface area. But anyways, let's wrap this video up with a U-turn right here. This one doesn't have the ratings online. I could not find what a ZR2 Bison turn radius is, but a Silverado is about 48 feet. A regular Colorado is a little bit over 40 or 44-ish, so this should be about the same Actually, that wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting for these type of tires. Anyways, guys, if you liked this video, if you got anything out of this impromptu extra driving impressions video, I hope it answered some questions. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you had a third of as much fun as I did making this, because if you guys did, then we're all winners today. And with that said, like this video if you got anything out of it, or you want to support my channel. Subscribe if you want to watch more stuff, and comment your thoughts and opinions below. Are you guys going to consider one of these? Have you owned a Colorado before? And what is your mid-sized truck favorite? Additionally, what do you guys think of all these turbo 4-cylinder options? Ford with the Raptor and the Ranger Raptor, they're actually going to have 2 V6 twin-turbo engines, although I have mixed feelings about those power plants and long-term reliability with the crazy complexity, but the power numbers speak for themselves. The power numbers of this speak for itself, and same with the hybridized Toyota turbo 4-cylinder. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on leaving the naturally aspirated V6s alone and going turbo 4s? Right now, only the Ridgeline, if you'd call that a mid-sized truck, and the Frontier offer a V6. And with that said, peace out, guys. I wish you the best. I hope you take care. Test drive one of these if you're interested. If you can find one, it was so worth the wait to finally get my hands on one of these. See you guys. Take care.